Well, a very warm welcome to you to this infinite universe call. Every Thursday at 7 p.m. UK time. It seems to be an appropriate time for most people. Now, obviously, if you're working, then it's not going to work for you. But this is typically what I aim for of an evening on a Thursday night. And the subject that I wanted to look at this evening is simply called the power of curiosity. And it really is a power. And it's probably more active in our life when we're younger. Think of children. Why? 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 Well, because why? And just relentless why. The search for the nuts and bolts, the reasoning behind something. Kids are not put off quickly by a short stock answer. They just want to get in it. Now it reminds me of when I was a child. My favorite time of all was spent in the local library. I loved going to the library. Even when I was like 6 or 7, my mother was a lollipop lady, so she wasn't back in the house till about 4:45. So I would walk about 15 minutes, remarkable when you think about it, to a library. And I was there probably till 6. And I remember that from a very small age, just consuming so much knowledge, books about languages, faraway exotic locations, space, particularly astronomy, cosmology. I didn't know what it meant at the time, but I just loved the formulas in the page. History, particularly, reading about culture, even politics. I just read so widely. I was just this sponge taking up every bit of knowledge. Why? Because I was curious. I wanted to know how the world worked. We all have that inherent curiosity, that desire to know, even from a very young age, what it's all about, what's going on around me, why. And that was a hallmark of my early life. And still to this day, I love seeking out knowledge and trying to understand what it is I know. And it's a beautiful thing. We have to encourage it in children and ourselves as well, to always be curious, to dig deeper, to go beyond the surface, to try and find the nuance in something. It's a beautiful thing, a wonderful gift. However, what has happened in recent years, and especially with the ascent of the internet as a means to find knowledge, is that knowledge is at our fingertips. It comes instantly to us. We don't have to dig it out. We don't have that same joy of going to the library or the Encyclopedia Britannica as it was back when I was in the 70s. And my parents had this whole 20 range volume of Encyclopedia Britannicas. I can clearly see them now. You pulled out a book and you look for something. You don't need to do that now. We even have a verb to Google something. It's officially a verb where we can simply, quickly get knowledge at our fingertips. It's almost flooded with excess of information, of data, of bits and bobs, of facts. Very cerebral, very entertaining on that level. And this is what the internet has given us. And of course, there are benefits to that. When we need to know something quickly, we can search it up. And of course, we put credibility on these things without really trying to determine the sources. But nevertheless, it's been a useful tool. And I use Google. And the power of that Google database to suddenly just instantly summon that genie of knowledge is wonderful. We have AI now. In the last couple of years, Chat GPT, Claude, Gemini just put so much information at our disposal now. And not just in a sort of a one response to us. We can now interact with it and ask more, get a bit deeper. Knowledge, it just is everywhere. But I can't help contrasting that with that sheer childish simplicity of what it was like to simply sit down in one of those old plastic chairs in the library, or even now to go on Amazon and find a book and be so excited for its arrival, to peruse through it, maybe read it twice, maybe read it three times to try and understand what it was that I was um, getting the knowledge of. And it's a shame that that approach, that just naive, childlike simplicity of finding out a matter for yourself has been so supplanted now by digital technology, which has its good uses. So I'm not negating that altogether, but I'm saying what it's done is it's given us access to a whole realm of knowledge that we don't really need to think about. We just accept as is. And I think a lot of education is like that now. It's about, can you tick the box that you know something factually, factually, factually. It's almost knowledge by rote. You can just simply recite the facts and not be pressed any further to know if you actually understand what it is. So there's lots of knowledge. There's an abundance of knowledge globally, information, data flowing in and out of our lives in every way. But knowledge isn't necessarily understanding. You can have knowledge, but do you understand what you know? And even if you understand what you know, what do we do with all of this? Knowledge, understanding, wisdom. So, yes, by all means, get knowledge in every way you want. But I think it's clear to me, and I think a lot of other observers as well would say that when curiosity stops, then stagnation sets in, mediocrity. Curiosity dies, in other words. We get what we want. We get the facts. We get the information. We get the data. We process it. We use it utilitarianly in whatever way we want, pragmatically, etc., in the most expedient way. And that's it. There's no more further thought than that. And I think about science. Science was always curious. It was never satisfied with what it thought it knew and understood. It was always trying to disprove itself. It seems even now the modern scientific method has sort of stagnated. And I suspect that part of that is science has become politicized. There are commercial ventures behind it, and sometimes these ventures don't want to be challenged with new knowledge or a different way. Now, I'm not saying that's whole scale across all science, but it does seem to me sort of a lack of progress in some areas of science. That the very thing which drove innovation, creativity, the Renaissance was this curiosity, insatiable appetite to know, to know, to know, and to understand what it is we know. So that brings us back to what I want to talk about, this the power of curiosity, which I observed as a child, and I've always had an appetite for them. And I'm sure in your life too, you can recall events, seasons of life, and not just in school, but outside of that, where you're just curious. So what if we detached ourselves from all of the electronic means online to find out knowledge and just went within ourselves, or went on a search in the world, old school style, to find out a thing that we needed to know, to take real pleasure and joy in what that could feel like, what could materialize for us by seeking out knowledge that way. It's a playful curiosity. What if? What if this happened? What if that? What if we had a hunch about something and we didn't know all the facts and we just followed the scent of something in our life? And that might be location where we should live, what we should do. You know, I'm on the verge of a move outside of my comfort zone, a physical move abroad. I don't know all the things that are going to happen potentially. I could worry myself ragged about scenario A, B, and C. I simply don't know. And there are times in your life, I'm sure you haven't had all the facts at hand, but you've been curious to know, what if I did this? And I think that's a wonderful way to journey through life is to have a childish, almost naive, whimsical, playful philosophy about doing life, wherever it may take you, whatever that looks like in terms of goals, your dreams, your ambitions, your relationships, your work. And I think when we're living from that curious center, we can really access the inner resources, the creativity that we're all innately gifted with. And I do think it's true. And I do think it's somewhat sad that in this age of technology, and especially now with the rise of AI, and it's just ubiquitous. I see it all over the internet, everywhere. And I say it's a friendly assistant, but I think it could become a cruel master in that it takes away that beauty of just what if, and it becomes prescriptive, formulaic, giving you directions to do this and that, and it's shortcutting. Society is always looking for a hack, a quick way to do something at the expense of the inner exploration, that pure joy and excitement that comes from having worked through an issue, a problem, the quest for something elusive, that you find it on your own terms and with your own energy. That's so powerful and transformative. But when it's handed to you on a plate, it's meaningless in some ways. So I encourage you to have this playful, almost childlike attitude when you don't know something, that it's okay, whatever it might look like, because it's okay not to know. It really doesn't matter if you don't know. And in fact, when we don't know something, yes, we can YouTube search it. We can Google it. We can go to chat, Claude, whoever. No doubt we'll get some pithy answers in return that seem, wow, that's quite convincing. But I would rather advise go within first, just quieten yourself. And first of all, say, I don't know what it is I'm looking for. Sometimes we don't even know what we don't know. And that's okay. Because when we acknowledge we don't know, what happens is there's this beautiful unfolding of divine wisdom within us. Somehow we seem to access the universal mind where there's infinite potential to know. And through synchronicity, serendipity, or just simply being present and tuning in to the inner frequencies, we can get resolution to what it is we don't know. And it suddenly opens up, and then we have an understanding of our knowledge. And then we have wisdom, which essentially is what do we do with what we know and understand? Wisdom, how to live a better life, a successful life, a life that's flourishing, a life that's unconditionally giving to others, a life of compassion, love, light, wisdom, truth. All of these things come from a curiosity perspective. If we think we know it all, or our shortcut, our hack is to always go to other people or to other means such as the technology gives us today, we're going to miss out on that inner connection, that intuitive approach, that instinctive feeling into wisdom. We rely on the past experiences. This is what happened before. And our brain loves to predict in times of uncertainty. It tries to fill in the gaps to protect us, to comfort us. It's a device that if we feel confused or just not really sure what to do, what's suggested is, well, you did it this way before, this seemed to work, I want you to try this. And that sounds good, and that's how we operate most of the time, but I challenge you on that. I challenge myself. Curiosity will take us within and to acknowledge, well, I don't know, but I'm here, I'm open, and whatever comes up in the moment, I'm going to go with that. I'll just feel my way into this. And knowledge comes that way. This has always been acknowledged from ancient times. Yes, it's great that we have other people who have been there perhaps in a similar situation, but in a similar situation, not in our exact situation. And there are times when we just have to acknowledge, I don't know. And that's okay. What does that do? That stokes up curiosity to find out, to dig deeper, to search. And when we get that, and we always will get that, whatever that is in relation to the context that you need knowledge, it's such a joy producing thing, empowering. We see life at a different level. It's almost something unlocks within us, builds resilience. We become more creative as we trust this inner knowing when we don't externally know. So I leave you with this. Think of it in terms of curiosity, I'm talking about. If you just closed your eyes for a moment, if you just close your eyes and just start to breathe in a way that just settles you, become aware of your breathing, how it's slowing down. A beautiful cycle of life. It's just there within you. The in and out motion of life that tells you you're alive. You're connected to the infinite source of this universe, that energy that energizes, that activates, that sustains all things flowing through you right now. And you can feel that in your heart, in your soul, in your mind, in your body, all are there, circulating the blood around your body, creating that pulse, that beat in your heart, sustaining you every second. And in that place where you're safe and secure, perhaps visualize yourself at a crossroads where you have north, south, east, and west. To the north is a forest, to the east is the sea, to the south is a mountain, to the west is a desert, and there's a choice you can make. Now, you don't know which path to take, but on every path, the answer that you seek will be found. And with your eyes closed and just being relaxed in this moment now, and becoming much more aware of your inner guidance system, just choose a path to the forest, to the sea, to the mountain or the desert. The choice is yours. And just imagine choosing one of those paths, going to one of those locations you've chosen, and in that location and in that moment, just be so full up and unaware of everything around you, the aesthetics, the lay of the land, any sounds. Feel into that and just be completely open. And if it's resolution on something that you simply don't know right now, just open up your heart metaphorically. You can even open your arms and say, I'm here. I'm open. I'm present. I'm curious about this or that. A decision that needs to be made. A life-changing decision. Could be relationally, financially, work-related. A course of action in your life that to now has been quite elusive, but you'd really like to move into. There's an answer for it. Don't Google it. Don't put it on ChatGPT because what you need is within. And if you're curious enough, you'll find it. And as you made that choice, just sit in that feeling now of whatever comes up as a response to your curiosity. That's right. Just take that with you, wherever you need that, in whatever context you need that for. And you can return to this exercise anytime you want. Your inner wisdom is always there, energized, illuminated, by that infinite source, that divine wisdom, the universal mind, however you want to phrase it. And if your eyes are not open, you can open them and just breathe out. When you don't know something, just by default, resist that temptation to perhaps go online, to Google, whatever. Just quieten yourself like you just did and go within. Now, this is nothing novel. I'm not suggesting anything new. Mystics, ancient teachers, and those who really connected with the divine understood that this was the first thing we should do. And it was at one time. And I'm not saying it's gone in the digital age. I just think it's diminished a lot to our detriment. So try this over the next 7 days. When you're perhaps clueless about something, just go within, quieten yourself, and seek the knowledge you need within. And I believe something will just be suggested. You'll feel it, and it'll feel right. You'll intuit it, and you'll know. And then you'll get an understanding of what it is you know. That's important. But most important is, well, what do you do with what you know and you understand? Wisdom. That'll be shown as well. So retain your curiosity. Don't lose it. It is one of our most precious innate things. It's how we function. And it's there. It's active within you. And maybe it's just a muscle that's got a bit weak. Well, practice the muscle of curiosity. It will soon return and be part of your muscle memory. And I really believe it will be transformative. And you'll tap into something ancient, infinite, life-changing for yourself. Well, that's it for this video. This is the Infinite Universe. Every week, we have our weekly Zoom call at 7 o'clock UK time. That's on a Thursday. And please join the Infinite Universe community that I'm building on a platform called school.com. The link is around. If you're watching this on school.com, then you're already in. But if you're not and you're perhaps watching this on YouTube or some other place, it's a free platform. And I'd love for you to be on a journey with me and I with you, discussing these things of mind, soul, and spirit, of the divine in us. So many wonderful things. Tonight it was curiosity. Who knows where we go from here? I don't know, but I'm curious enough to do it with you. All right. I wish you peace. Bye-bye.